Hey, good morning, Steve.
Good morning,
this is
John.
the Fanatical Elfz Browns pregame show. The Baltimore Ravens are in town, and we are live here on YouTube, on the X, on Facebook, wherever you watch your wonderful podcasts. We're one of them, we hope, and we appreciate you tuning in to listen to Steve and I discuss, preview this great game. Well, I don't know if it's going to be great. We'll preview this potentially battle, AFC North game. Steve, how you doing tonight or this morning?
I'm doing great. I'm awake.
Steve was telling me what he was doing on his before we came on air. You know, he's an accountant by day, by trade, and he has some really exciting material that you have to watch for professional development.
15 hours of continuing ed so I can get my certification from the Internal Revenue Service, or as they call it in the business, a P10. Personal tax. It's my tax return preparer number. And
you gotta love that.
I got to have my 15 hours, and sometime in December, the IRS will send me a nice email telling me to go to a link and to read a bunch of stuff and agree to a bunch of stuff, and then they'll check my my tax program that I have downloaded on my desktop and make sure that I have all the security I need.
Yes,
so that's very important.
The government and its the bureaucracy out there. I had a situation over the weekend or Friday. My son, many of you know, my youngest son, Grantman, has autism, and he gets Social Security, he gets the Medicaid and all that fun stuff. And we got a letter, like a month ago, saying that he was, he's good to go with the Medicaid because the two kind of coincide. He gets automatically approved on that. So I have documentation. But since then, the Ohio local Medicaid group decided to send out two letters that have said, no, he doesn't. Make sure that you sign him up for Medicaid, or we're going to send you a letter notice that it's going to end. So I tried to do my best as his guardian and as his father to contact them and let them know, hey, we got these, it seems like a mixed bag of communications here. and found out when I was on the phone with the lovely person on the other line that they said that I wasn't an authorized something. And I'm like, I'm getting the mailings. My name is on everything. Just wild and crazy stuff when you get into the bureaucracy of everything. So
that's usually what happens with state governments.
Yes.
IRS is a lot easier.
I hope so.
I'd rather deal with the IRS than the Tennessee Department of Revenue, because the Tennessee Department of Revenue can sometimes be uncooperative.
Yes.
Is that a good word to use?
They hung up on me, Steve. That's how
there you go.
I was like, okay, that's a new one. Considering everything. So anyhow, we have a person that works with Grant who's our coordinator, service person, and they're checking in to make sure that everything's good. Should be good. We've always been solid on it. It's just the fact that these people send out multiple mailings, and I'm just thinking of all the wasted paper we get. It blows my mind. So
my wife has power of attorney over her brother, and she has to go through North Carolina Medicare and Social Security, and she called them up to inquire about a letter, and they hung up on her.
Yes.
So she called the local office here in Nashville.
Yes.
They were super great.
Good.
Social Security. They were just nice and hell, cleaned it all up in like 30 minutes. Yeah.
I'm assuming that everything's fine on our end. I mean, I know it's all
it should
right,
be.
but
I mean,
it's just
the states usually go by what the feds say. So if the feds say he is a legal dependent of you, then
yes,
the state has no say in it.
Anyway,
IRS always wins.
All right, so folks are tired of hearing us talk about
let's not talk about this garbage.
So the Brownies are playing the Ratbirds at 1:00. I'm not real happy. I'm down here in Columbus. I do have season tickets. I'm not able to go, so I'm going to have to go I have some choices, but there's a local sports bar here. The reason I have to go over there is because Columbus affiliates decided not to show the game locally. They've decided that there's more Bungles fans here in Columbus than Browns fans, and so I'm not happy about that. But the Browns are going to play this game. The Browns are coming to the 1-6. The Ratbirds are 5-2, I think.
5-2.
They have a lot of momentum. What are you anticipating to start with in this game?
Well, I'm hoping the Browns win, but I'm not too optimistic about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little worried about DeJuan Jones starting at left tackle for the first time this year. He hadn't been that great at right tackle.
Right.
But let's see what happens. They get Teller back, so that'll help.
Okay.
The Ravens secondary is a pass defense is worse in the league, and it got worse with Marlon Humphrey being ruled out, TJ Tampa being ruled out, and the rookie Nate Wiggins being ruled out. So that's a problem. But they're number one against the run, and you got to run the ball to throw the ball. I think the one advantage the Browns have, if they can keep Jameis Winston upright, he gets rid of the ball like a half second quicker than Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. So
that definitely helps the Browns, especially with this secondary. If you can establish a nice short passing game, long handoffs, you can set up the run, and the run will help set up the deeper passes. And their secondary before Humphrey got hurt. I mean, come on. 14 touchdown passes, 11 of those to wide receivers. They've allowed 3 300-yard passers, including last Monday. Even though they were thumping Tampa, Baker still threw for 370 yards.
Yes.
I mean, and they've allowed 3 100-yard receivers and 3 tight ends with 90 yards or more.
Yeah.
So that bodes well for the Browns. If they can get, Tillman had a great game last week. Elijah Moore needs to be more involved. They got to get Jerry Jeudy open. Without Amari Cooper, the Ravens don't know who to double.
Yeah.
So, and then you got Njoku and Aikens, and then hopefully they'll throw the ball more to Nick Chubb. I'd love to see Nick Chubb in an open space.
Yeah, I love those takes. I think I did a little bit of research on Jameis Winston. He hasn't started any games recently, but in the last 10 games dating back to 2021, if you go up back and look at the last 10, I found that he's 6-4. Yep. He had 4 or 5 multiple touchdown games. He had 18 touchdown passes to 8 interceptions. He had a couple games in there where he did throw for 3 and 4 touchdowns in single games. He didn't throw for, like, I think there was 1, maybe 2 games where he got close to 300 yards. He's had multiple games of over 200 yards passing. 1 game he only threw 10 passes in a blowout that they won like 2 years ago. I'm forgetting which team he played for. I think it was the Saints at the time. But anyway, I mean, I like you. I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing what Winston can do and how maybe if he can be a little bit more quick with his decision making, that might spark some things offensively. I mentioned that in one of my articles. I mean, do you anticipate seeing Winston be able to do that? I mean, obviously you just mentioned all these things that.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I'm really intrigued. I love the fact that they signed Jameis Winston as the backup. I've liked him. I know everybody talks about that year he had 30 interceptions and 30 touchdowns, and he does have a very high turnover rate, 3.4%. But you love Flacco with the Browns last year. His turnover rate was 3.9. So that's what you're kind of getting. You're getting a veteran quarterback who can get rid of the ball quickly. Let's see what kind of game plan they use. Let's see what kind of stuff that Dorsey draws up. And if they are very successful and if he does look good, please don't go on social media and tell me that they should have started Jameis Winston from the beginning. Please don't do that. Please.
No, I'm not going to do that. I won't do that.
Are you sure?
No, I will not. I will not do that. I think that.
Are you going to hold back, right, John?
No, I will hold back. No, I'm not going to. There's a lot that goes into a lot of these things. I do think, though, you and I disagree on this. I heard, and I know you listened to somebody like Tony Grossi, who you and I both probably a little bit more respect than some younger fans do. But Tony came on, switching gears a little bit with Stefanski. He mentioned in one of his discussions on 8:50 a.m. radio about Stefanski needs to win one of these two next games, and if not, and they go into this bye, he mentioned, I mean, publicly, that he thinks that Stefanski's job is on the line. And I kind of tend to.
I've heard him say that 3 times this week. And each time he started the conversation by saying, this is my theory.
Sure.
So he's not dealing with any inside information. He's not dealing from anybody telling him this. This is just his opinion and what he thinks. And that's fine if that's what you think. I don't see it happening.
Okay.
I see Barry and Stefanski staying no matter what happens, unless, players just run out on the field and on the first snap, they just stand around like this. I mean, that would be the only way. But, to fix this mess, you need both of them. And he still has the locker room, and they respect him, and they like him, and that's all that matters. If the players are on your side, then you're fine.
What about this theory Lou, our colleague, came out with? I don't know if you read his article, but he mentioned it to me off air one time, and when I talked to him on the phone or something, and he shared his theory. I don't know if you read it, but basically his theory is, and I don't agree with this, Lou, but I wanted your take on it. He basically said that Stefanski was doing the play calling because he knew something like this was going to happen, or that the offensive line was decimated, that basically he was trying to protect Ken Dorsey and now giving him the reins, because if they'd given him the reins earlier, then he would have been run out of town, because the team was they were basically anticipating they were going to be bad because their offensive line was sucky, and that Stefanski basically said, I'll call the plays until we get our offensive line healthy and whatnot. I don't agree with that take. It was an interesting theory by Lou, but
no. Deshaun Watson is more comfortable with Kevin Stefanski in his ear during games.
Yeah,
that's it, people.
Yeah,
that's it. That's what I was told. He is most comfortable. It doesn't mean that he doesn't like Ken Dorsey. He is just more comfortable during games with Kevin Stefanski talking to him, because Stefanski can see things that that Watson doesn't see, and offer different types of information that other people don't see. So that's why Watson gets hurt. He's not playing. Boom. Let's give Ken Dorsey a shot.
Nick Chubb coming back today. Again, he played last week, 11 carries, 22 yards, a touchdown.
I'd love to see get 15 carries and 5 targets.
He will.
That would make me happy.
He will pass Mike Pruitt today if he gets 8 yards on the all-time Browns list.
What's the over-under on that?
Right. He needs 743 yards this season to catch Leroy Kelly at number 2, and then he'd only be behind Jim Brown. 10 games to go. I know our colleague Rod Bloom talked about on the Browns Blitz. He had a show. He did a solo show for the first time. He said the second time in only 5 years. I don't know if you listened to the show, but he was disturbed by where the Browns were and how the season was going. But when he did talk about Nick Chubb, he mentioned all these things, and I mean, I don't know if Nick's gonna. I don't know. Just let's see what happens over the next couple of games. How many carries? Like you said, 15 carries. You think today?
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, if he can get 15, that's what 70. If he can average 70 yards a game, over the next 10 games, he'll get there, right? I mean, is that doing my math right?
I think so.
Well, and speaking of Nick Chubb, I was just, I wanted to pause here just for a quick second because, let's pause for a quick break. We're the Fanatical Elfz pregame show. That's Steve. I'm John. We'll be right back. And we're back here on the Fanatical Elfz pregame show, talking Nick Chubb, the Browns playing the Ratbirds. I do want to just say our condolences again to Jim Donovan and his family. a wonderful, wonderful broadcaster, radio voice of the Browns for years. Also has been in the local TV in Cleveland for decades. Great guy. He had some really great calls over the years. His one back in 2018, several calls for Nick Chubb, Chubba Wubba Hub, when they scored a touchdown against the Falcons in a game. Talking about Nick Chubb running to the river when they won a big game against the Bengals. What are your you don't really listen to Jim Brown's or Jim Donovan's games, right? Because you're down there, but do you know who I'm referring to?
Of course I know who you're
Yes.
referring to.
Well, I just wanted to.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. There were times back before I had my living room set up to watch games that I would have to watch on my laptop and it would buffer. So I would always go over to the official site of the Cleveland Browns, and you click on a button and listen to the radio call. So I've listened to him. He's iconic.
Yes.
He's like Tom Hamilton, and before Tom Hamilton, Herb Score, who I always listen to.
Yeah, Herb Score is great. Yeah.
Herbie. Ball hit down the line. Could be foul. Could be fair. It is. It is what? Herb. What is it?
Right.
So, yeah.
Right. Well, Jim Donovan, just wonderful guy. And I know, like, there would be they would show when we had our cable down, even here in Columbus, the Browns used to have a TV program that would come on during not this last year, but the year before that. And he and Tony Grossi and Doug Deacon were on this show. And it was just always, and Sam Rutigliano would come on it sometimes. And it was just refreshing to listen to these guys talk about the Browns. They're just very knowledgeable, and we will miss him greatly. It's sad that I know that he was not doing well. And when he was honored at the Hall of Fame, the local Browns Hall of Fame a few weeks ago, he wasn't able to attend. I think his daughter was there in his absence, but he did. I know they had a phone call with him receiving the message from the Phil Dawson, which is probably one of the last times I think he was publicly seen. But we will miss Jim Donovan. Hope they're going to honor him today at the game.
Good.
I hope that the Browns, as a
win one
team,
for Jim.
Yeah, win one for Jim. I think that would be. They show that video of him going into the locker room. Was it last year maybe when Kevin Stefanski handed him the ball?
Yep.
So, with all these great guys you're talking about, Tom Hamilton, who's still a great broadcaster, Herb Score. We've had other guys in the past, Nev Chandler, Gibson, Gibby. What was Gibby's first name? He was local. He did the shows with Doug Deacon on the radio too. You know who I'm referring to? Gibby. He was right in the same era that Nev Chandler was.
No, I know Nev Chandler, and listen to radio. So
anyway, so just our condolences to the Donovan, to them. So the Browns, you think right now? I mean, the chances in them winning. What do we have to do? What would be the 2 or 3 things that we have to see today for the Browns to get a win?
On offense, just quick passing game. Let's take the pressure off Winston. Baltimore is going to bring the house. If they can get any kind of running game going, that's a bonus. It could set up the long pass down the field, which they're going to have to do. On defense, it's all comes down to making Baltimore, putting him in third down, putting him in 3rd and 5 or more. Frustrate Lamar Jackson. Everybody knows when Lamar Jackson gets frustrated, he makes mistakes. He did against Kansas City in the playoffs. He did against the Browns in Baltimore last year. The second half, he got really, really frustrated. And when he gets frustrated, he makes mistakes and he turns the ball over. So that's
the last time we played them, right? Yeah.
Yeah. The defense has to be stout. Put them into third down situations. The linebackers are going to have to play the most perfect game. Yeah. And the secondary, besides Denzel, who's having a Pro Bowl year this year, the 12 passes defended, which leads the league. Yeah. The other 2 guys, Newsome and Emerson, are going to have to bring it today. They are going to have to play their best game.
Yeah.
This is excellence against very goodness when you're talking about the Ravens offense versus the Browns defense. And they just have to play a perfect game. No mistakes. Stupid mistakes. Don't do it, offense.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Everybody, get your head in the game and let's play the most perfect game we can play.
Yeah. Well, we're going to try.
I know I am.
I think Browns fans are the ones that are remaining, and I think there's a lot of us. I'm anxious to see what the stadium looks like, the vibe down there.
Yeah, me too.
It could be. I think it'll be. It's still my hope. Like going forward is like somebody like Nick Chubb continues to produce, to have some good games. We can follow his path because we all love Nick. If we can pull out this win, that would be fantastic. I think we definitely can. Winston just needs to be accurate. He needs to be quick with his decision making. We have, like you said, established a run game. The Browns, they're getting Wyatt Teller back. You said also DeJuan Jones is going to start at the left tackle position.
That scares me a little bit.
Yeah. Why are you nervous about that so much?
Well, look at how he played at right tackle.
Yeah.
He wasn't the greatest thing
no.
at right tackle. So what makes you think that for the first time in his professional career playing the other side of the line, that he's going to all of a sudden be great?
Yeah.
I would assume they're going to put a tight end next to him constantly.
Yeah.
And have a running back, not Nick Chubb, block, help him out on that side.
Yeah.
The good news is he gets he's got Joel Bitonio next to him, so he can help tremendously as well.
Did you see the thing I sent you the other day? It was kind of funny. The guy was on doing his takes on how the Browns are going to win the rest of the games this season. I don't know. I sent it, I think, yesterday too.
Yeah, you said I didn't. I haven't seen
it. Was pretty. It was real. I mean, it could be. I mean, he was being funny, but he was also being, sharing some things that could happen. And basically, he says that the Browns are going to win out and they're going to go 10-6, and we're going to make the playoffs because I think we play Baltimore.
That would actually be 11-6.
11-6. That's right.
Well, no, they're already 1-6. So yeah, they went out 10, and then they'd be.
They go 11-6. So anyway,
All
right, Steve, have a very good rest of your day. And Browns fans, we will be coming back to you, rain or shine, with a post-game show. I don't know if Steve will be here or not. Well, if it's a win, maybe, I think, right? So.
We'll see. See if they really piss me off.
Well, I contribute to that sometimes. So I'm going to try to restrict my my texting to you guys so I don't incite, a mob. Everybody have a very good rest of your day. Go Brownies.
Go Browns.